So what do we do with this? The NCAA moving to a new era with elite divisions. Now there are talks, old Chuck, Charlie Baker, the president of the NCAA, of creating an FBS subdivision. So what that means is there's the FBS, there's the FCS. They are subdivisions of Division One, right? Now there'll be another subdivision, a third one. So we have FCS, FBS, and the gold, or the platinum division here. And in that one, schools are permitted to directly compensate athletes through a trust fund and NIL, sources told Ross Dellinger. With this, you are leaving behind nearly half of college football. The idea here, a rough idea here, this is from Seth Balk. The idea is that roughly $100 million is what you need in athletic revenue to meet that cutoff line of being in the elite upper echelon of college athletics. And that upper echelon is able to do this. They can create their own rules. They can work outside of the normal bounds of the rest of Division I. They can create their own transfer portal, their own compensation, their own scheduling, their own playoff. What it is trimming the fat of college football. And here's why. Here's why this makes sense. Before I give you what Big 12 teams might get left behind, here's why this does make sense. No one really watches Northwestern and Purdue, okay? So why not just leave those teams behind and create more LSU versus Ohio State? A ton of people watch LSU, Ohio State. Let's just do that more often. That's going to make a lot more money. Conversely, nationally, people are saying, oh, no one watches Kansas State and Iowa State, Kansas State and Kansas State, Oklahoma. Nobody watches that. That's what they're saying nationally. And so you know what? Let's make it LSU, Ohio State more often. And this is going to leave a lot of schools behind based on 2022 revenue prices. Now look, this revenue has changed. So a team like Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, these teams that are right there on the border are getting left behind in the new projections. There are not exactly new projections here. 2023, some of these schools that I'll name will be squarely above the $100 million line. The problem with that $100 million line is it's going to change with inflation. So if Texas Tech, bring in $110 million in revenue, but then next year we find out, hey, look, guys, the line's at $115 million, $120 million. You will get left behind on a line that is set to change. Does that make sense? So right now, the way things sit from 2022's revenue projections, just making the cut at 100.4, Oklahoma State. Then here are the Big 12 teams that would get left out of this new division of college football, that are left out of the conversation of competing for a national championship ever again. You're in the dust. Texas Tech, done. West Virginia, done. Utah, done. Iowa State, done. Kansas State, done. BYU, Houston, Central Florida, UCF, and Cincinnati. 9 Big 12 teams left behind in college football. This is what they want to do. This is what Chuck wants to do, is kick out the dead weight that they think, these teams aren't making us as much money as having an Alabama play Georgia all the time. Let's do that. Ruining tradition of college football and taking those teams that I just read out to you and saying, you don't matter anymore in college football. We don't care about you. Now, some Big 12 teams survive. TCU, namely, at $139 million. You're marked safe. Kansas, Arizona, both over $115 million. Baylor, $111 million. Who would have thought? $107 million for Arizona State, and as I mentioned earlier, $100 million for Oklahoma State. So again, teams like West Virginia, Texas Tech, you're left behind. Syracuse, Wake Forest, Purdue, UConn, SMU, BYU, Cincinnati, Kansas State, Washington State, done. That is where this isn't me proposing this. The NCAA president came out and said this is what he wants to do. To move to a new subdivision. The idea that these teams, these elite in college athletics, can almost govern themselves. You've gotten too big for your britches for the NCAA, so we give up. Do whatever you want on your own. Make your money on your own. Who cares? And in that, leave behind 20 or so Power 5 programs that we have seen at the apex of college athletics. So no more Kansas State playing BYU on national TV. It'll become whether or not schools can pony up the money to meet this certain line. Now, I don't believe that these teams will all be kicked out of the top dog. I don't believe they'll be kicked out of being top dogs. Even with these numbers that are kind of out of date, again, I give you, as these numbers grow into date, as these schools make more in revenue, inflation causes the cutoff line to go up as well. I give you this. There is going to be a serious discussion. And with Title IX, you can't start cutting sports. There's going to be a serious discussion amongst every Big 12 team that is close to this line of, how do we create more revenue? What do we do? What do we cut? What do we raise? How do we create more revenue to stay above that line? You've got to punch your weight in college athletics. This isn't a conspiracy theory when the NCAA president is pitching it. It's scary is what it is. It's scary we're seeing this direction take us away from some of the matchups. We're already going away from some of the matchups we love, right? I'm not a huge Texas fan, not a huge OU fan. I'm going to miss seeing OU play TCU. I'm going to miss Texas and Texas Tech. With this, times that by 10. Because now you're leaving 9 Big 12 programs behind. That's not good. That's not good. I don't know what we do. How do you petition to the president of the NCAA? I mean, I don't have his phone number. Do you? What do you do? Because that seems pretty bleak for most of this league. Coming up, speaking of bleak, the transfer portal for the Big 12. Gosh, there's some big names in this thing. Come on. This is Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by LinkedIn Talent Solutions. I told you, I've been telling you, I hire an intern every semester, and I need one again. LinkedIn.com/Locked On College is where I go. I especially need LinkedIn's help right now because my typical go-to, I go to Baylor and ask them, hey, can you help me with an intern? They're not doing internships next semester, so I need LinkedIn's help. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to have as many top-tier candidates as possible to interview. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the professionals for your team faster. Not just another job board. It has a vast network, 1 billion professionals. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy. It's 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. They know that small businesses are wearing so many hats. They want to help you. They can even help you write your job description, making it so much quicker. Post your job for free at LinkedIn.com/LockedOnCollege. That's LinkedIn.com/LockedOnCollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply.